fuck it up this time. He's still muted.
Welcome everybody to tonight's episode of Mt Paozu Arcade. After a freaking crazy week of beta experience, myself and Hell Pockets are here to talk about the crazy stuff that transpired. How you doing, Chris?
Yes, it was. Let's see. We had planned to stay up for the entire day of the Saturday beta, right? I got up at 2 a.m. to stream the first window of beta action, and I think only Walkman was up at the time because we were the only two motherfuckers that was crazy enough to be up at 2 a.m. after going to sleep at midnight.
So I set up my alarm to go off like at 3. I set up my alarm to go off at about 3, right? And I was like, you know what? Realistically, I don't think I can wake up at 2. That's legit gonna be impossible. But I was like, you know what? 3, we can stretch that. So I went to sleep. It woke me up, and then I felt like, fuck this shit. I am not down for this. I need my full strength in the morning, so I could goon out at the 10 a.m. slot. So yeah, props to you guys for soldiering that one out.
No, we did it, and honestly, man, like I'll be straight up. Like, first of all, I love this game. Dragon Ball FighterZ feels extremely fun and easy and good to play, but did not love not having any sleep. In fact, there were times during the beta weekend where the lack of sleep was definitely catching up with me. And I found myself thinking thoughts like, oh my God, I hope this beta session ends quickly so I can go home and take a nap. Or I can go and take a nap upstairs. Very unlike me when it comes to like playing anything, really. But it was that intense. Like, we were that dedicated to getting that much content to everybody and getting that familiar with the game. And it paid off. I want to say that, I think the amount of experience that we got with the game, not necessarily on a competitive level, obviously, because we're not sitting here trying to win tournaments yet, but just to get familiar with it and to see where Arxis and Bandai Namco are planning to go with it. Like, you can see all that as you're playing that, like from playing matches as well as in the lobby, you can see what they were going for with their ideas. And so that made it all worth it. But the actual process of doing it fucking killed me.
Yeah, I just felt like, as bad as I want to do it, I had a real grown-up moment where it was like, dude, you're not 20 years old anymore. you can't just stay up like a whole day and have it not have repercussions. So I had that realization when the alarm went off, and I was like, listen, if I do get to play, I'll be complete ass. Like, it's just no way I'll be any use in this stream. So I just committed to going back to sleep.
I don't blame you, and I don't envy you at the same time. I don't even remember what I did in the first shift. Like, straight up, I don't remember anything. It wasn't until we all got together and started having a great time with me, you, Gibby, and Tony that I really started feeling myself in the game and really feeling the fun and the love. And then Gordon joined us also. Actually, he was there for the first session also. Shout out to Gordon. Then on top of all that, we got to be joined by several Goon Nation members. We started up a lobby, and it got kind of popular. Originally, we started this lobby. We were in US server 3, and we were in room 25. And originally, we did this because the way that the matchmaking worked was that you basically got into the arena pit, and you fought whoever came to you first, or at least whatever the system thought came to you first. And in the more crowded lobbies, that was kind of a hit or miss thing because some connections were good and some connections were not so good, and you were wondering why these guys were in the West Coast servers. So we started the room because of that, and then we invited a couple of people, and then it just kind of blew up because I guess people were watching the stream and they're like, yo, I'm gonna go play those guys real quick. And we got some cool people in there. We got Nakia in there, we got Tatsu in there. I think at a certain point Ryan Style joined us. Freaking Perfect Legend was in there.
As far as like US goes, I mean, it pretty much was a who's who of people that have touched the game and have pretty decent experience with it, which to me as a player really exposed me to a lot of stuff that that gets me hype about fighting games, right? And
Right.
it's about how deep the layers can go in by setting up certain mix-up situations, or how a defense or how somebody can adapt to your offense. And all those things started happening when we were playing these high-level players. You know, I mean, we're definitely not at that level. So when when we get exposed to something like that, um, I think we're fortunate enough that we can extrapolate what that means. You know, that we can understand. Holy shit, he just did a scenario that is really really well, and I feel like I can come up with an answer for it, and I want to see what he does. And that situation has never happened while we were playing Dragon Ball beyond a super basic level,
Right.
right? As far as our experience with Dragon Ball Fighters, but these few matches that I played with Nakio and Tatsu really gave me a glimpse into the future of what competitive Dragon Ball Fighters could be, right? Like, as far as how you work your defense, working in the deflects, and how they become so important on a lot of these much tighter mix-ups and block strings that have you locked down if you don't use the deflect otherwise. So a lot of those things where it's like very tight for you to be able to make something happen, and the room for error is minimal, right?
Yeah, very minimal. Like
And
I don't mean to cut you off, but like there was definitely a moment where I realized like, hey, the deflect is not the best, but when you need it, you should use it, because there are some situations where you get into where you get put in the corner and you're on defense, and if you don't like blocking, you are going to be in a world of hurt.
so what it does is like, it's not even like, it's definitely really important to use in a lot of those tighter block strings where you're getting mixed up really hard. If you just straight up block the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
you run the risk of eating something that's really hard to block. So you kind of have to do it, but the counter to that is, well, okay, he's deflecting my block strings, I'm just gonna stagger my attacks and bait it out, or stuff like that. And that part of the matches that I was having was the real interesting parts, because people like Nakio, people like Tatsu will adapt, and they did. And the stuff that they were doing, I was like, oh man, you guys are fucking smart. Or you guys already adapted to me, adapted to the situation. And as a commentator and as a former tournament player, like, that's my shit, man. I get like, that's what gets me excited about these games.
Yeah, it gets me excited too, because I mean, let's face it, anybody can do long combo strings and whatnot in any game. That just takes muscle memory and whatnot. Where the true spirit of fighting games comes into play is situations like, how is he going to get himself out of this mess? You know, he's got a 50-50 coming up, plus he's got to block the right way, plus he could also eat a dragon rush, you know, and then you see the guy handle it perfectly, right? And you're like, oh shit. And then the combo out maybe even gets a punish because the guy overextended himself, right? That's the kind of stuff I live for. And despite what some people are saying about Dragon Ball FighterZ being too simplistic and whatnot, that shit exists in this game. Like all of that stuff that you would expect from a standard fighting game that might appear at EVO or any other fighting game tournament, it's all there. It may be more simplistic, but that just makes it easier for you to recognize it, you know?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, because we have made a analysis video, right?
Yes.
That we have on YouTube. If you guys haven't checked it out, please go check it out. But while we were watching the analysis video, we definitely noticed that exact thing that you're talking about. In that certain things that were really good are now kind of obsolete. You know, as far, especially like in like combo situations, and now I used to think deflect wasn't that good, but now I kind of think it's necessary in certain situations. Like, the meta of the game is really starting to work itself out.
And that's good. That's what we, you know, were hoping would happen. And I was hoping I would see it before they did another update to the build, before they did another build before release, which I kind of anticipate will happen before open beta. If it doesn't, and open beta is the last build we get, quote unquote, then that's fine too. But I wanted to see some evolution before all that, and we got like less than a day to find it, and the game pretty much led us to it. Basically, you know, we got to see that game evolve over time and right in front of our eyes in real time. So being able to analyze that is almost even more exciting because of that, you know, because the stuff that I thought I saw, I mean, I did see it. The stuff that I saw evolving while I was playing evolved even further when I was just watching and examining, you know? I mean, there's that video that we watched during the analysis, the third video from the R&K crew. And that match is amazing. And there was stuff going on in there that we didn't see happening during beta on our end, you know? There was stuff that, as we said, that there was stuff in that video that Nakiel and Tatsu weren't doing, and there was stuff that Nakiel and Tatsu were doing that the guys in R&K weren't doing. And I ended up commenting that somewhere in between is probably optimal playstyle.
So, yeah, and the thing is about that video is a lot of the tactics that they use that are obviously good, they're very easy to copy. Like, it's not too difficult to implement into your game. Especially after you've had a little bit of time with it. And I mean, though I suspect that these guys have had much more time than most of us have with the game. Because they just seem way too comfortable playing the game. Though I'm not even mad at that, because the thing is like I already said, that these tactics that they're using, it's not overly complex to adapt to your own gameplay. And the earlier we can get that, man, I'm happy for it. I'm down for it. And
Let's go, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. Oh, and to note on how you were saying that it's so simple and complicated at the same time, that at least to an audience, or even a casual audience, it's easy to pick up some cool shit just happened.
Yes.
Like we saw that Trunks combo where he extended it with the wall bounce, and then extended it with the slide, and then used the assist to carry the character again from Trunks. Or oh no, it was a Goku combo.
It was
Sorry,
a Goku who did the air, or he did like the jump in and did the launch, the wall.
Yeah.
And I know, and then he ended up extending his air series by calling a Trunks assist that popped him up for another air series. Yeah, that's simple. That's just one hit, but that totally changed the face of that combo.
Dude, it looks so cool. Like I saw it immediately, and I think even in the video we're like, whoa! So
because it happened really early, it was so fast, and yeah, like I won't even front. Like there's probably like versus players that see that shit all the time. You know, they're just like, all right, you know, that's cute, but for me, that's like, hey man, like this is still new to me, and it looks really good. Like not in the sense that it's useful, but it's done really well visually. You know, so like anybody can see that.
That's the key thing about this, right? It's like, sure, man, like when versus players make a comment or something like that, I don't think it's not in the same context, man, because it's like this game is much more streamlined, right? Like they don't want to, it's not an overly complex situation what's happening on screen. And I think that helps sell the game a lot more. The problem when I watch other games is there's so much shit going on, you know, that it's like, it's almost an information overload. But this strikes a perfect balance of like, look, man, I'm gonna allow the casual viewer to appreciate this, and at the same time, for the hardcore viewer, you're gonna understand that this is a combo that, though it may be easy, it's still flashy enough to have mass appeal.
Yeah, so, it's still visually pleasing.
Exactly, and like, man, I watch Marvel streams all the time. Like, it doesn't make it any less appealing to me. You know, I like Marvel 3. Like, I like watching that game a lot. And it, like, this is still dope to me. Like, even in comparison. So I don't understand that comparison. But yeah, dude, these guys are really hidden. They're in the Goldilocks zone with this types of stuff right now, man.
I kind of feel it, man. It's like just right, you know. It's got a strong mix of the team aspect, and I also feel like, you know, maybe at this current point we don't know what is the best way to use your characters, but I also think that the people who play that single player style, you know, like the R&K guys, they weren't really using a lot of team tag supers and whatnot. They were doing it when it mattered, but normally you just got to see a character play it all the way out, you know. They almost hardly ever raw tagged.
You know, that's an interesting point too, because right now, I think we're seeing two camps, right? Where
Mhm.
it's the heavy assist use for offense or defense versus the heavy assist use to continue combos.
Right, and
Like,
I'm interested to see how those, like, which side's gonna win, basically, right?
I mean, to me, obviously, it's gonna be like a situational thing, and it's gonna be
Mhm.
a mix of both.
Most
But
likely.
right now, I think it just depends on what your background is in the game, right? Like, and also, see, I'm in the camp where it's like, whatever looks dope, man. If I could do a dope ass combo with an assist, I'm gonna do it. Like, dude, right now it's early in the game, and that's kind of
That's what's
reminds
winning.
me.
That's what's winning.
And that reminds me of like playing KOF 13, right? Where it's like a really beautiful game. It's like I just want to rip this nice HD combo, and
See, that's where you messed up, right? Because then you were like, "Oh, dude, you got too used to that shit."
yeah, I mean, yeah. But in saying that, like the strategies, I think they've diverged in that
Mhm.
sense of like, okay, is this gonna be a primarily to set up my mix-ups, or am I gonna use this for combos, right? And that does leave you in a very limited state after you complete your combos that you just burned 2 of your assists. Despite them coming back relatively quickly, yeah, you just don't have them at your disposal anymore, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely something that I think that people will learn to build around.
Mm,
There's some situations where they do come back extremely quickly, but maybe you don't have access to them. Like I definitely saw in one of the combos where I think it was Piccolo had done the hard knockdown chop off of the air grab, and
yeah.
he did Hellzone grenade setup off the hard knockdown, and then
Mhm,
he DHC'd or Ultimate Z canceled into 18 level 1.
mhm,
And while he's basically jumped out, his assist bar built up and like so quickly. But
mhm,
even though it maxed out, he still was unavailable. And I think it would either because 18 was still in the middle of a combo,
mhm,
which kind of makes sense, but it's kind of lame.
mhm.
Or it was because she did a level 3 afterwards. Because you know how she did the level 1, then Hellzone Grenade hit, and then she went straight into Raw level 3, and it all chained. And because you can't DHC out of level 3s, while Piccolo charges back to a usable status again, she isn't able to call him because she's in level 3. Now, if he had gone with like maybe jump medium kick because he was in she's in the air already,
Mhm.
maybe he comes back and she's in the middle of an air series and she gets to call him back out.
Yeah, I mean, the
Like that
rabbit
kind of shit's
hole,
going on all the time. Like that
the,
kind of shit is what's gonna make this game great.
the rabbit hole keeps getting deeper, man. Every single time we get more and more players touching this game, and more people getting more time, more dedicated time,
Mm-hmm.
you see the progress. And yeah, what's really interesting to me right now because of the beta was the mass amount of people that got to play it and their opinions, and what kind of people, or at least what corners of the FGC regions have all assimilated into Dragon Ball fighters.
It surprised even me, Abe. Like when
Yeah,
I won't even front. Like I've got nothing against the guy. And in fact, I like him after, but I've never talked to Perfect Legend in my life. You know,
yeah,
I may have discussed one. I may have, in glancing, talked to him once at CEO like a year ago because he
yeah.
was in mutual company, and I was like, "Hey, you're Perfect Legend. What's up?" And he's like, "Your Hell Pockets. What's up?" And that was it. And then the brother finds out I'm into Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball FighterZ, and he's just like, "Yo, I'm in the beta. Let's do this." Right now,
Mhm,
unfortunately, didn't get a chance to hook up with him. But if you've been on Twitter, me and him interacted so heavily the entire weekend, and I've never discussed anything with this guy. But it was just like we were like immediately right there. Sinacrius, I don't even know the fucking word. I'm in there with him. And then here comes CD Jr., or formerly known as CD Jr.,
yeah.
oh, Manny, up in here talking about, I want to get on the Dragon Ball FighterZ too. He's pointing out cheap shit with our videos, like,
Mhm,
earlier on. And
mhm,
he gets into the beta, and he's like all about, like, this cross pollination of communities,
mhm.
There was even a discussion on if auto combos should come out on Whiff. And he's the one that posed a question for it. And there were like discussions from all corners of the FGC jumping in on that discussion.
What was important about that discussion? Something happened in this discussion there was a certain tone of it that was something that we're not used to in the FGC.
I
And
think
what was that?
I
Hell
think you're
Pockets.
talking about peaceful discourse.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Cause I read through that log and I was like, this is cool, man. This is something new. This is something new that is happening that it's like it feels like a big exhale for a lot of these players. Be like, yo, this is something new. This is something that this guy that I'm talking to, though, yes, maybe maybe anime players or maybe they play a certain style of game that would help them in this particular title. Nobody can honestly say, hey, I've been playing Dragon Ball FighterZ for fucking 10 years. You can't tell me shit. My ego is fucking ridiculous. Who the fuck are you? A Street Fighter player, a Marvel player, Injustice player, whatever. You can't legitimately say that. And that's something that you run into when you talk to these players that are from one of these dedicated scenes, right? It's like you kind of can't have a discourse with them because they won't listen to you.
You
You
feel
know?
like they make you feel like you ain't paid your dues yet. And I mean, okay, maybe you haven't, but
Mhm.
it's debatable on whether or not that even matters, you know? But I totally get what you're saying here, and people are going to be able to see it that this is a brand new game and everybody is willing to treat it that way.
Mhm.
You know, nobody is going into this saying you need to take the advice of every anime player on how to start out in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Now, if they have good advice, they have good advice, and that's just a coincidence, you know. I think right now there's a lot of good advice coming from everybody. I don't think anybody is taking a look at this game and just throwing it out the window. They're not just automatically saying, "Well, I got this on lock. I will see you in February." You know, they are actively they are actively being scholars of this game. They are actively studying this game, no matter what their background is, even if it's just because they like Dragon Ball. They're that serious about it. And so when I see these guys coming together and having like, you know, this peaceful conversation that has a nice resolution where they agree to disagree,
Yeah.
it's
But
like,
when did that ever happen?
that never happens.
Especially on Twitter, where it's like, nah, bro, you're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. Go play X game. Go back to KOF, you loser.
Exactly, right? You don't know how many. We've heard that shit so many times where it's just like, yeah, and these motherfuckers will say that shit so like sarcastically, where they act like they don't even mean it, but you know they fucking mean it. Where they're just like fucking KOF players think they know everything. Like, no, just trying to help you out, brother.
Yeah,
that shit doesn't exist here.
And in general, people have suddenly been just supportive, even if they don't really play the game of Dragon Ball FighterZ. I haven't seen anybody like try to find an angle to be like, man, Dragon Ball FighterZ is gonna be bullshit or whatever. And even if they did feel like that initially, like with the release, like the Twitter, not Twitter, but at Eve or not Evo E3, with the trailer and the unveiling of Dragon Ball FighterZ, some people were like, "It's not gonna be that big. It's not gonna be this thing or whatever." I feel like people are really backing the fuck off of that shit. Like it's real and it's undeniable at this point. And for me, as a Dragon Ball fan in general, I was kind of hoping for like a decent game. And I'm like, I'll play the shit out of it. If it's a decent game, I'll play it.
Yes.
But
yes.
we're getting this thing where it's like, hey, dude, you wanted a decent game, but guess what? We're going all in. This is already starting off to be a great game.
Yes.
Like, how I could see myself playing this for so long, man.
Like, that is exactly how I feel, where it was at the point where this is a game that I wanted to be made by the people that I wanted to be making it, right? And I was gonna get it. I was gonna play it despite how messed up it could be. And it's not like ArcSys hasn't been known for making some really broken shit. Obviously, they got, you know, Fist of the North Star. They got Sengoku Bossera Cross. And it's just like, okay, these guys have made some real quote unquote stinkers, although some people call them classics. And so I was pretty much ready for anything, but I was at least ready for it to be a decently fun game. And what I got was something that was actually kind of frustrating within 4 hours of playing it for the first time. You know, not frustrating in a bad way where it was like, oh my god, this game is bullshit, I hate this shit, right? It was frustrating in a way where I had to already adjust and I wasn't in the mindset for that. You know, it was day zero. I wasn't in the mindset to adjust. But people were figuring things out so quickly in this game because this game has so many options available to you for offensive maneuvers, and you know, like it caught me on my heels straight up. And I did not think that a game like this would ever catch me on my heels day zero. I thought we would just be walking forward, swinging at each other, and then whoever fell down first lost, you know?
I feel like we're at the point where so many things are coming to a combination, fusing together fusing together to form something that's been forming over the years right under our nose, right? Like, think about it, man. Arxis has gone fucking ham this generation of fighting games. Um, they've had so much experience in this console generation and the last, that this is the culmination of a lot of their work to make this game. And that's just on the developer side. Now let's consider on the player side how there's a culmination happening where all these players from different regions are like, you know what, man, like they're older now, they've had a lot more experience in the scene, even a lot more experience being in the limelight and how to deal with that, and dealing with this game with a lot more maturity and understanding the capabilities of where this game could take them as players and can take us as a community to join us together, you know?
Yeah. And I'm excited to see what the future holds. One of the things that I was worried about was, is this going to be big outside of America? That was a huge question on my mind. So far, America has been like, you know, the big hub for it. You agree with that much, right? Like America's gotten most of the promotion for this. Europe actually second with Gamescom, and now we got Tokyo Game Show coming up. And so finally, it's Japan's turn to get hype for Dragon Ball FighterZ, at least openly. And by the way, if you haven't seen the new trailer, check it out on Bandai Namco's stream page on YouTube. It's good. I mean, it's good to look at, I guess. I'm interested to see where they plan on going with it, you know, because we've already established like the players want to have tournaments, they want to have an esports league, whatever, right? All that discussion is being either done or it's happening right now. But we have heard nothing from Japan or anybody else on what they want to do when this game drops and what their legacy tournament players are going to want to do with it when a game drops. Now, obviously, they might be a little preoccupied with other games. A lot of those guys, especially the big names, are a little wrapped up playing games like Street Fighter V or Tekken. But I would find it a little tough if not a certain number of those guys are like, you know what, I'll play both. I'll play all three.
I definitely feel like it's that game that it's like it lets the air out of the monotony of the game that they're maining. You know, like I just see way too many people like, oh, X Game's burning me out. Like I went so hard in this game, and you know, I need something to let the steam off. And you can sense that in this game when these players come over and they interact with you and they play with us. That this is like a big. I already said it. They're exhaling, dude. It's like they let out a big, a lot of
They've been
air.
waiting to exhale. You know? They've been waiting to exhale. It's okay. You can say it.
Yeah, they've been waiting to exhale for so long.
You know?
They're turning blue. Like these players are turning blue, and not in a Super Saiyan way. Like just straight up blue balls, huh? Blueberries.
Oh God. Yeah, but that's great to see, you know, and I mean, I hope that keeps up, and I hope that anybody that wants to come in on this game can. I think that the response to the beta codes was probably pretty telling because everybody wanted one of them some bitches.
Did you feel the desperation?
Yes, I did. There were people that I respected that were in my DMs saying, hey, bro, I know you got another one of them codes, right? Like this close to pulling a Menace to Society on my ass, right? Come on, man. Hook me up. I got these cheeseburgers.
Yeah, dude. It was real. Yeah, it's crazy, man, the direction that everything's going in, and it just keeps building and building and building. And we're not the only ones. There's a lot of people that see where this is gonna go. Like I think it's reaching levels of undeniability where it's like you're in the studio, man.
Yes,
And
yes.
you just made a hit and like, oh my god, this is about to be some shit. Like
Like, don't tell nobody about this till it's ready to drop gold.
yeah, hold this please. Yeah, man.
How do they do it, you think, right? Like you and I, when we talk about fighting games, you know, we almost always have a difference of opinion, you know, especially when it comes to KOF.
Yeah.
But for this, it's like, how do they manage to bring two completely different schools of thought together in perfect harmony? You know, like we've been working together for a very long time. And yeah, sure, we love Dragon Ball, but we almost have like an equally open-minded approach to this. And obviously it's really early in the game, but I don't feel like that's going to go away. And I don't feel like the harmony that's been happening on Twitter is going to go away anytime soon. Obviously there'll be some beefs eventually, but I think for right now, things are pretty steadily positive. And positivity is something that has been so scarce in this scene for almost a year and a half at this point.
Not even positivity, like genuine love for the game, like being genuine, like just I don't want to say them by name, but the games that recently got released, you can tell that it's not authentic, you know, like how they feel about a game isn't authentic. It feels forced. Like this has come out so naturally. Nobody needs to push it. Everybody's just got into it, man. Like when's the last time something like that happened? Like, really, let's just think about it. Like, when's the last time something like this happened where not only did it cross over in every areas of the FGC, but also in the casual sense of these YouTube personalities that it's like those personalities are practically strictly Dragon Ball. Those communities do not exist for other games, you know? And if they do, it's very small, you know? Like, these guys have been at it without even knowing the knowledge of a Dragon Ball FighterZ thing. And then you have that extra aspect that these other games do not have. You have the casual audience, the YouTube audience, that is a whole new thing to get wrapped up into these competitive fighters, right? Like, when was the last time something like that existed in the modern era, in the social media era, that we could take advantage of something like that in a big way, like it has been?
All right, so the only game that, or the only franchise that I think comes close to matching that kind of intensity and that kind of cross-pollination is Smash.
I mean, but that wasn't even born in the modern era, though. Like,
no,
they didn't
get to
use the internet like we get to now. Like, YouTube didn't even exist.
I feel you on that, but like at the same time, I'm like, the only game that gets that kind of weird, like bigger than like its own culture, basically, is Smash. And I'm not saying that Dragon Ball FighterZ is like the FGC's answer to Smash or anything like that, but in terms of like the larger than life personalities and the just the general promotional powerhouse that Dragon Ball is, that's the only thing that comes close to it. And I will say it, Dragon Ball is a bigger fucking IP than Street Fighter, like easily.
So in that argument that you're saying, here's the one very big difference. There has always been a debate amongst fighting game players that Smash is not a real fighting game.
Right.
That does not represent how I feel about Smash, but this is not up for debate for Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's not up for debate. It's a fighting game.
It's a fighting game. There's nothing about this game that doesn't scream, you know, classic 2D fighter. I don't know how people can. I mean, you're always gonna have these dudes that come up in here and say, and you've seen it. You know, these motherfuckers say shit like, you know, this is like 2D trash. Where's my 3D Budokai Tenkaichi 3 and shit like that? And you got guys saying like, oh, this shit's like baby shoes, man. Like, this is training wheels. This is too simplistic. And they just, I think I said it before, but these guys being obtuse intentionally. You know, you can't look at this game and find anything wrong with how it looks and plays. So you just have to complain about it, the fact that it's you have to call it something that it's not. You have to complain about whatever it's not. You can't complain about what it is. You can complain about what it's not. And, well, it's childish, and it's misinformed in some cases, and it makes you like a fucking fool.
There's a few schools of thought on like how a game can become a great game, right? And there's the whole let's make it technical as possible school.
Mhm.
And then there's the whole like, well, let's make all these options available to everybody and then let's see what happens, you know? I feel like it hits somewhere in the middle. No, I wouldn't even say in the middle. I would say like leaning more towards let's have everybody let everybody have these options that are semi easy to get into. Because somebody that's talked about that for years is Ultra David. I always hear him talking about that. Like he's like, dude, it doesn't take away from the fact that you still have to be a top level thinker and player to really compete at that level, despite combos being easier than the say like Guilty Gear or Marvel. Like it lessens that window just so you can get to the real part that we really appreciate. And for me as a player, I really appreciate how the adaptation happens in a match, right? And how gameplay can differ throughout the whole thing. And as a viewer, that's what I appreciate. Combos are secondary. I appreciate combos, yeah, or the difficulty of all of them, sure. But what really gets me is like, oh my God, wow, what a genius. He adapted to him, putting him in this position, and because he knew that he counterattacked with this last time, he took it another level above that and used the utility of this move, which is easily accessible because it's not a difficult move to do, to turn the tide of the match. That's what's the meat and potatoes of a fighting game to me. Not necessarily the difficulty of it. Though it's nice to be able to pat yourself on the back and say, I'm the shit at this hard game. Like, that doesn't really matter to me at the end of the day. It's how people can adapt at a competitive level and use all these utilities to create something exciting for you as a casual viewer and as a hardcore player.
Yeah, that's 100% what it is, man. Like people think the pop-offs are for the sick combos. I mean, I guess sick combos are cool, but you know, when somebody makes a really nice decision, like again in the video analyst that we did, and that Trunks player catches that Goku in the Frieza with the down H at the perfect possible moment and turns that into a dead Goku, which, and by the way, discovers a bug where apparently if you kill the secondary character in the middle of a combo, the combo counter doesn't go down for the primary character. And if you hit him, it just keeps on counting. It's not a big problem. It's just a little minor glitch. But anyway, but like that decision to do that is like, that's what blows your fucking stock. It blows your stack, man.
So right now, to me, the thing that is most obvious is like, okay, this is the part where we need to pay attention. This is an important part to how the game, that real action is gonna go down. So when we were watching all that crazy ass 18 pressure, all these people were putting on, or specifically Nakio was putting people in, and it's like, how do you deal with that? And then seeing how people that were competent adapted to those seemingly really, really good setups with a deflect or with a different type of counter, that right there is where you're going to see the new shit right there in the gameplay. Like, how do I deal with that? You deflect it, now what? Do you call an assist? You super dash to cancel? What's this guy gonna do? He started doing a command grab because he saw that you were waiting for that. Trying to deflect whatever attack comes afterwards in this block stream that's not a clean block stream. You know, stuff like that. And then that is where the tides of matches are gonna change for now. Right now. In those super hard,
like those microtransactions, basically, where it's just
and
like,
it's gonna happen so fast. Like those situations happen, you gotta make a decision, and that's where people are gonna start losing the game because the game is getting tighter and tighter and tighter so early. You know, these guys are coming up with setups that it's like, bro, you gotta be on your toes. You cannot let up. Whereas opposed to maybe before this beta, it was like, I can let a super dash rip here and there. Let me do this lazy mix up or whatever. No, dude, people got some tight shit, man. Like, and it's easy to pretty much implement into your game, which is kind of like what we were talking about in the past 10 minutes, right? It's
Yeah.
like the ease of implementation of something that is high level, and maybe people don't like that, like, oh, I just came up with this really sick setup. Kind of sucks this guy could just do it, you know? But
Yeah.
that's how this game is going to evolve to such a high level because it will be available like that. You're going to have to
You're gonna
step
have
up
to
the game even
outperform that
more.
person. Like
Exactly.
you're gonna have to realize that sure, like this move is really easy to do
Uh-huh.
and it's really strong and I just hate blocking it. And you gotta realize like cells low M. Cells slide. People hate blocking that clearly, right?
Yeah.
And then we see one dude just freaking do like Vegeta's like 3-hit kick over it because it goes over lows. It just bodies him.
Oh, dude, I mean, oh yeah, that stuff gets me, man. Like,
It's like,
like,
yo.
uh, so even the like spacing game right now is not maxed out. Like that's something that for sure, well, it's not even at like a competent level right now. Stuff like, oh well, I see this guy running in, and I'm gonna take up this spacing. Like I'm gonna hit him with a neutral H, to take up massive because neutral H hits so much forward. Like it has such a huge horizontal range.
Mm-hmm.
Like protecting your area in the sky, in the ground, taking up as much space. Like in neutral, it's not really happening right now because people go in so hard. But once these hard counters are more apparent and people start comboing with real damage, that's going to be a thing that you're going to actually start seeing. You're going to start seeing some real footsies in
Yeah.
Dragon Ball
Oh,
FighterZ.
dude, and it's as fast paced as it is,
Mhm.
and as hectic as it can be. Because I wanted to say this earlier, like while it is easy to follow for a lot of casual viewers because it's Dragon Ball and they just made it everything like what you're used to seeing from the show,
Mhm.
it can get fucking grimy and dirty when it wants to. It can get crazy. It can get chaotic. Now, all that being said, with all that going on, you still got to play footsies.
Yeah, man. I think one more beta and the top players are there. Like you're going to see some real shit. Like
Mm.
real. You're
I'm,
going to get about 70% of where we're going to go, and then the rest of it is going to be hard to climb up to get close to 100. I mean, I don't even think that's ever going to happen. I don't think that ever happens with the fighting game.
Nah,
But
98 maybe.
yeah. Shout out to 98. 98. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, anyway, so beta's over. Beta is over. We have to look to the future. If there's going to be another beta in the future other than open beta, we don't know. Open beta, we can assume, is going to be in January, since that is the month before the February release, supposedly.
Mhm.
Who knows? It could be in February for a week, and then the pre-orders get it a couple days early. But Tokyo Game Show, like I said,
Yeah.
came out with a new trailer. First it was the first thing I got to see was the new story trailer, and they announced well, they didn't announce, but they showcased Android 21. Who is
Oh yeah. So Android 21's been blowing up the internet so hard right now.
blood broke it for a second, right?
Like so much fan art for that character. I'm like, damn.
Apparently she's supposed to be designed by Akira Toriyama, and I can't help but feel like he had some outside influences connected to that, because I gotta be honest, Dad definitely don't let no Toriyama design.
Speak on it, bro.
I'm
Speak
telling
on
you,
it.
man, like
Speak on it.
that shit look like some modern day Moe blob shit.
Oh.
I'm not complaining or anything. She looks cool, but when I see Toriyama designs, especially for women, I definitely don't see that kind of color scheme, that kind of, well, I guess I can kind of see the hair, and the faces and the glasses and stuff, but overall, like, she just doesn't really feel like a Toriyama character. Not that I'm complaining again.
Oh man, you're gonna get blasted for that one, dude.
I'm
You don't
probably gonna
understand. People are
Dude,
die-hard lovers already.
already. We don't even know if that girl is playable yet, man. Come on, y'all can't get mad at me yet. Wait till she come out first. Got to see your boys Tien and Yamcha gonna be playable, and we got screenshots. We got videos already.
Call out for how we super called Chaozu or pat myself.
What episode was that? What episode was that?
Probably like 4 or 5 or something like
4
that.
or 5. We called that shit. Tien and Chaozu together again, brothers for life.
Yeah, that was the original prediction of when we were gonna have two characters as one, right? And then we got Android 17 and 18. So had they done that reveal first, oh dude, I would have fell back in my chair like I fucking told you. I fucking told you.
No,
It
it's
just
actually
it makes sense, right?
actually that's interesting. Do you think if they had revealed Tien and Chaozu first, would people have been more acceptable or more accepting of 18 and 17, or less accepting?
Ugh, I think they did the right thing.
I think they did too. I think they had to
18
just
and
get that
17.
out of the way, because I know that either way, it was just gonna be a fucking blow up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they needed to get the bigger blow up out of the way. Um with 17 and 18 cuz I at the same time I understand. It's kind of the same thing with Chaozu and Tien. It's like though we want those characters in, it's like as singular characters it's just not enough meat and potatoes in their move sets to make them a complete character. Like you already see 18 is using Destructo Disc or whatever you call them, Chris.
I'm
Um,
sorry, I can't come to the phone right now.
yeah, so it's like you're jacking Krillin's moves. Well, uh, okay. Well, I guess that means that you didn't have a lot to work with. So I, especially with like Chaozu, what the hell is Chaozu gonna do? Like his only move's gonna be like self-destruct, jump on your back and self-destruct.
What if he has the Android 16 self-destruct, but it's a projectile? Like Tien just throws him, like fastball specials him at the opponent, and he just explodes on him.
I mean, that could be possible.
That would be so dirt. And considering that 16 gets to come back from killing himself to kill the opponent, so Chaozu should get the same damn treatment.
There's gotta be some type of super or something where Chaozu self-destructs. It's gotta be, like,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Like,
dude.
has to.
Dude, I almost believe that there's going to be a hidden super where, like, Yamcha calls a Cyberman assist and then, like, jumps on the opponent like Robo-Kai style and just explodes on him.
Oh man, like, yeah. Well, like I said, pat myself on the back for that one.
Oh yeah, we called it, man. Now I will also give some credit, and I think that the greater FGC should take notice to this. Balthazar did it first. Hyper Dragon Ball Z did it first. The Tien Shinhan sprite with the Chaozu assist. First blood goes to Hyper Dragon Ball Z. Shut up.
Yeah, I mean, cool.
I'm sorry, Balthazar. I'm gonna give Balthazar credit for that. Now, maybe I don't know. Maybe they were designing this a long time ago, and we're just not hearing about it this year because obviously that's how professional game design works and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, for history's sake, until they come out and say, "Well, we designed this shirt 2 years ago," that this goes to Balthazar. And if you haven't downloaded it already, download Hyper Dragon Ball Z. It's a good game. It's fun. Would love to see some kind of Dragon Ball Z FGC centric tournament where we played Super Dragon Ball Z, Hyper Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball FighterZ. That being said, I'm kind of hyped to play Yamcha. A lot of people have been theorizing that he will have what the Milia player. Well, Milia has this move called Secret Garden, right? And it's basically this little sphere that you throw out there, and you get to direct where it goes by pre-inputting the inputs and directions. And you can like set up like Oki pressure through that. Yamcha.
You mean the basic party starter to all her shit?
Yeah, I don't see it as much as I think we should. Probably because it's really slow. I don't. But Solkidan basically works the exact same way for Yamcha, where he basically tosses out a sphere and he can do all this shit, and it goes wherever he directs his hand to. And so he basically has built-in Secret Garden. I expect that to be something that he will be able to take advantage of, and I think that'll be even stronger on Oki than perhaps Hellzone Grenade, which is already really good.
Hellzone Grenade on Wake Up?
On Oki, well, not on Oki? You waking up. Oki pressure.
Like in what way? Can you explain it to me?
Like you knock down and you do, like, say you knock somebody down and then you do Hellzone Grenade before they get back up and they get stuck blocking it.
But you use a lot of resources for that.
No, you only use one bar.
Okay.
Trust me on this.
I'm not in on that one, but yeah,
It's
sure, I
your
guess.
character, man. You better get on it.
I know. I'm saying it's like, yeah. I don't know.
No.
I don't think it's real.
What do you mean? Anyway, what do you mean you don't think it's real? Hold on a second.
I don't. What?
We just saw the video where they were like, were you paying attention?
Hellzone grenade?
Hellzone grenade where he's like throwing shit everywhere. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It gives up like plus 200 frames on what?
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
move on to the next topic. Anyway, story
I'm saying he's got a homing sphere. He could do the same shit and not blow meter. Like
you could have both. You could have both.
I'm saying if you could do the same thing for cheaper, why would you spend so much meter? Why are you yelling at me?
Because you're not listening, Abe. I'm right. Just let me be right this one time. Abe, you can have both. You can throw out the Hellzone grenade. You can throw out the homing spear. Or you can do it in the other direction. I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
The Oki pressure is infinite. Piccolo is broken. Anyway, next question. Story mode. Story mode is in effect. We still don't know what's going on with it. Apparently, it's going to center around androids and all the Z fighters just passing out on the floor. I'm thinking it's happening after one of Bulma's birthday parties, and then Android 21 apparently reviving Android 16. And I have a theory behind this, and I'm going to let you guys know right now. I think Android 21 is Android 16's mom. Not necessarily in the sense that she created Android 16, because obviously that was Dr. Garrow's thing, but Dr. Garrow had a son in the Red Ribbon Army who died during battle. Not battle with Goku. He died before that, supposedly.
Yeah.
And he modeled Android 16 after his son. Look and personality.
Okay. So I definitely want with Mt Paozu Arcade in the future to develop a segment called Hell Pockets, the Dragon Ball conspiracy theorist, so that he can go into these stories and we could preface it with that, like, wow, he's digging deep, man. He's digging deep into the lore for this.
Like the Andy Rooney of Dragon Balls. You know.
Okay, guys, so I got this theory.
Like, well, I just like to say that the Android 21 looks a lot like Android 16, so why can't Android 16 come out of what used to be that woman's womb?
All right.
We got some questions. But anyway, that's my theory. I think that's going to be a secret ending where there's going to be a picture of young Garrow with Android 21. They're going to be holding a baby with brown hair. Anyway, questions. We got one. No, I got a question. The first one comes from Arby's. I'm thinking Arby. Any characters from the movies that you want to see, and what do you want said characters to play like? Oh, that's an interesting question, actually. Pick one character each, I say, because we only have a little bit of time left. You know what? You always tease me about this, and I was thinking about this at work on the way to work today.
Oh wait, how much you hate me?
Well, after the discussion about Hellzone grenade, yeah, that's like increased tenfold. I was thinking about this on the way to work today. I was like, you know what? I do love Broly.
Thank you, dude.
I'm
not even mad at you. I'm not even mad at you, man.
You feel ashamed for loving Broly.
Fuck, dude. I just want to bring the true you out of you, man. I'm not trying to make you feel bad for liking Broly.
Well, damn it, Abe. You brought the true me out. I haven't been right ever since. I almost got fired today because I couldn't stop telling people how I wish Broly was in Dragon Ball FighterZ. My boss was like, this motherfucker's on crack. He won't stop talking about some shit I've never heard of. They called it Dragon Ball C Fighters during the fucking interview, during the damn staff meeting today. He was like, oh, don't talk to him. Chris is all about Dragon C Fighters and shit. And I'm like,
well.
Yeah, it went that deep, man. They actually called me out the staff meeting. Anyway, I want Broly to be in this game, and while I do have a preview of how he should play from Dragon Ball Z Extreme Butoden, I actually want him to be a mix between a grappler and what would be the correct term for it? Because I don't want to just say brawler, because everybody's a brawler in this game, you know?
Uh-huh. I'll tell you what, shout outs to Davimon DLH, because you guys are officially boys.
I want Broly to be a zoner. There we go. I want Broly to be a zoner and a grappler at the same time. Have options for both. Because the character's plays the way the character is written in the movies, he not only is overpowering up front, but he has some of the most devastating blasts in the entire universe of Dragon Ball Z. You know, his ki blast, the whole idea around him is that he is just a vessel that is constantly overflowing with ki, and that's what partially what makes him nuts, because he's gonna explode at any moment, so he has to let that shit off, and he just blows everything up.
So I'm gonna go with, if that's what you think Broly's gonna be a zoner, how the fuck do you expect me to respect you on your opinions on Oki?
Why wouldn't?
How the fuck is Broly gonna be a zoner? Like,
first of all, it's not my opinion. It's a fact. It's a fact.
Okay.
It's a fact.
Okay, listen, man. You stop talking over me. Fuck. Listen. I think he would be the guy to be the armor character. I think he should have very similar things to how 16 has, right? But way more. You know, like, he will absorb all the hits. So, I don't know, man. Like, if you could throw in zoning with him, I guess. But it's like, it's just, how can you not make him into a character that's just the armor god?
I mean, he may have both.
Yeah, it's hard for me to see that in the archetype. Like, I don't know. Try to come up with an example, man. Like
from a previous fighting game, or just from the show?
Perhaps, yeah.
I mean, that probably can. He'd have to be a very unique and brand new style. Someone who can be dangerous up front and do a lot of damage, and someone who controls space up from a distance.
He should be slow as shit.
Okay, basically he's Waldstein. How about that? He's Waldstein with hella armor.
I mean, I don't play that game, but I'll take your word for it.
He's the Waldstein with more than one rock throw. There we go.
So as far as, like, for me, yeah, dude, I want to give Broly a fucking bone. Give him a bone. So many people have been asking to have him on, and yeah, he's a really popular character. So
yeah, no, I actually think, well, not think, he's actually been voted one of the most popular characters in the Dragon Ball Z continuum. I mean, he's not even an official canon character. I think they have been, like, he gets a lot of promotion. Like, his voice actor gets a lot of promotional work with Dragon Ball still because of his role as Broly. Broly is also the title villain in the new Dragon Ball Z attraction ride at Universal Studios Tokyo. So, I mean, he's a shoe-in, man. Like, there's a freaking, he just did promo work with Masako. Next question. So yeah, we both want Broly, and we think he should both be a grappler and a projectile artist. If that makes any sense? Probably doesn't.
That projectile part is all you, bro.
All right. Should they buff manual ki charge in any way for mid-high-end gameplay? As of right now, it's really useless, and it leaves you hella open. That's hard to say, because I've seen what manual ki charge can look like when it's good.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. Not in this game, but like in the idea of it.
Oh, okay. That's very important.
The idea of it. So again, I'm going to bring up Hyper Dragon Ball Z. In Hyper Dragon Ball Z, there's a manual ki charge command, and you have basically, you only have to tap the command once, and you'll get a fairly large amount of meter from it, you know? The cooldown from it is very minimal. It's like probably 3 frames, you know? And even with that, you can just spam it. You can just keep hitting it, and your opponent can decide to come in finally. By then you've already gotten like 2 stocks, maybe, you know? So in that case, we don't want it to be that extreme. On the case as it is in Dragon Ball FighterZ, I will admit and I will concede that yes, it does feel kind of pointless. I don't think you can even bait anybody into anything with it. Like, you can't bait somebody into a situation where you just like suddenly stop charging and you punish them for coming near you, you know?
I think it's just like a really fun thing in the game. Like,
yeah,
I just feel like if I'm playing like with my friends or whatever, I could fucking do that shit, or we could both power up until we're max level and then start fighting. I mean, the problem that I see with ki charge is, and if they were to make it effective in the game, is that it breaks from the awesome pacing that the game already has built in, right?
Yeah.
That they're trying to go for. Where I feel like leaving an opportunity for ki charge to be real would conceptually not would conceptually affect this game in a negative way. And
If they put an emphasis on it, right? If people were actually
yeah,
looking for it, yeah.
yeah, like I just don't, especially in a fighter, like I don't think it's a good thing to make it real. I think it's cool to make it a fun thing. Um, but outside of that,
Hey, it worked in Art of Fighting, so.
um, it's a different game.
With arms and adamant. There's a mechanic in this too. So I did have an idea though for it. If they want, they don't have to make it the cool. They don't have to necessarily buff it in the sense that like they make it faster to get out of it. By the way, if you do charge it and you hold it for a while, the longer you hold it, and I forget at which point it becomes a quick release. But basically, when the minimum amount of time of pressing it, you'll get like that delay in between when you start it and when you stop charging, right? But if you hold it for a little while and you release it, it'll respond quicker the longer you holding it. I think that just basically is the game telling you like you hit the buttons, you got to deal with it.
Okay, so my synopsis is not real.
It's not real, but I was saying though that there is a way that they can make it maybe useful. Holy Order Soul gets a charge mechanic.
Not worth it.
Dude, whatever. It's not worth it. Holy Order Soul had a charge mechanic, and he could cancel it into a little like charge burst if somebody tried to get in on him when he was getting close, and it was a hit.
But do people want that in Dragon Ball? like that's not a Dragon Ball thing. Like that's like little bursts of charges. Like
people want to
fucking power up. Like,
are you telling me the key explosion is not a Dragon Ball thing? Vegeta literally did it 4 times the first time he fought Goku.
I don't think that's what people are talking about when they're talking about key charging, man. Before you lose your fucking mind again. Jesus Christ.
That is it.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like when people are referencing key charge, I think they're talking about full blown like, what's up? I'm a fucking charge.
I know they're talking about it, but I'm just saying it's the same damn mechanic. So if they really wanted to do something better with it, they could give it an. I can't even talk to you right now. Anyway, if they want to make it better, they should add an offensive mechanic to it. I don't think they should do it literally. I just don't think they should sacrifice the cooldown from it because it's a gimmick. That's all it is right now. I don't think they intended to be anything else. There's better ways to build ki anyway. You could do a combo and get like 1.5 bars. That's probably the more optimal way of doing it. You could block a lot of things and get probably 1 bar. Or take a bunch of hits and get a bar.
Yeah.
I'm
on board.
There are options.
Yeah.
In fact, there's the only thing that probably should be an option related to key charge is turning it off.
Wow. Fuck, dude. You're all over the place on this topic.
I actually think they should be able to turn it off.
I think we need to move on, man.
How is that all over the place? I just said that's the option.
Okay.
I'm offering my 15 cents.
Geez, that was a whole $1. Gotcha. All right.
Hey, man, I only come with bangers, man.
All right.
I'm popping bands over here.
All right, that's next.
Rubber
yeah,
bands
one more question. We'll answer one more question.
Do we even have one?
Is there any mix of characters you'd like to see as one character in the game? Like, I guess the question is more like in other FGC type characters that a mashup of FGC characters that have certain mechanics that you want together that is familiar, And that question comes from EX Wild Wolf, by the way.
That's hard to say. I mean, I don't really think there is a lot of mashups necessarily in this game. I mean, I guess you could say that, Vegeta is 1 part Amaterasu and 1 part Ryu or Shoto because he has a DP and then has a dive kick. And then he has also it's hard to pick the parts of a character, when they all have like just these things all converge together. I don't really see a lot of existing fighting game characters necessarily in Dragon Ball Fighters. That is extremely discernible, you know.
Okay, so EXY Wolf actually put one together that I think is actually pretty decent. Like Potemkin plus Maxima would equal like a Broly. I could see that. I could see that being an actual thing. Those characters have shit. I wouldn't even mind leaning more towards the Maxima. You know, you say you wanted a zoning character. I mean, he still has kind of zoning. I know you probably mean more like with Ki Blast, but I mean, there's kind of a hybrid there that I feel could work, you know? But it would probably lean more towards a visual brawler, though.
I would say up close he could probably be more like Maxima, just a lot of armor on his normals, Maxima press type special, because he definitely has that with the clothesline.
Stumped.
I don't know what else he
Wolf,
really
you
need.
have stumped us.
I don't know what else he could get on that shit. Yeah, give him like a vapor cannon, Broly cannon.
All right. Well, I guess that's the questions for this week. Yeah, if Gibby, you could drop the link once again in the Discord, just so that you give everybody a shot next week. And one thing I don't think we've addressed yet are the raffles, at least ourselves, are the raffles that are going to be happening next week, right?
That's correct. So we are going to be having some raffles centered around the Dragon Ball FighterZ t-shirts that were available at EVO 2017 at the Dragon Ball FighterZ tournament put on by Bandai Namco. Bandai Namco was once again so cool. Shout out to Bandai Namco to give us 2 shirts and I believe some other special prizes and some lanyards. I actually might need one of those lanyards because I had to staple mine back together. It ripped. So they're going to the fans. Gotcha. Enjoy my lanyards, people. So we're going to be giving those away next week to the lucky people. 2 lucky people. One will be given away on Twitter, and one will be given away live on the show, I believe. And if you subscribe, I've been told this, you have a better chance of winning. Which is perfect because this is what? September? Half off subs? $250?
Also, I got one new thing that I'm personally going to implement. Didn't really announce it yet, but to those of you that are subscribers, I'll be giving out, or Game Goons will be giving out, a pretty nice little discount for you guys with the t-shirts. We're trying to think of multiple ways of trying to support you guys back for supporting us and showing us that we appreciate it, man.
We got you.
Yeah, man. Speaking of shirts.
Speaking of shirts, man.
We do have a Teespring available that you guys can check out, our Mt Paozu Arcade official shirt and our Game Goons official shirt, baby.
Oh boy, they are still up, the official shirt. Some people have been asking about the red shirt that I wear sometimes because that's like obviously the Goon exclusive, right? And I'm like, guys, believe me, you're actually winning out in the end. You don't need this. You don't need the Goon shirt. You need the official Goon shirt that you're seeing right there on your screen right now. Like, God, I had to buy that myself.
And I have yet to buy one because I mean I just came into some money, so I'm definitely gonna be copying one finally. Yeah, I actually really like. I already have them on Mt Paozu Arcade shirt, so I really definitely want that Game Goon shirt. But like we said earlier, man, hang around our Twitter and hang around the show next week on Twitch, and you'll get a shot at earning one of those shirts.
Yes, sir. Is that it?
Oh, by the way, thank you guys for definitely subscribing, following our Twitch, but not only that, to YouTube watchers that have subscribed and helped us reach over 1K subscribers. Thank you guys so much. You know, Twitch and the YouTube has definitely helped us spread out our reach, and that's why we definitely want to give you guys an opportunity to share in the winning spirits. So thank you guys. But beyond that, What do we have to expect next week, Chris? We got something nice. Let them know, man. What? Okay. Well, well, we lost Hell Pockets and he walked away. So I will. This is a classic. So I'll let you know exactly what we're gonna be in store for next week. So you guys have been watching some of this high level play, and a guy that's been doing very well for himself, Nakio, will be on the show next week, and it will be a very technical show. We'll be breaking down what he knows, his experience, and I generally just want to ask the guy a bunch of questions, and I don't really know his background, how he got exposed to Dragon Ball, but part of the game, baby, and he'll be here next week. So I don't know if we're gonna wait for Chris to come. Oh,
I'm back. I'm back.
Jesus Christ! So he's finally back. In order for him to release us from our burdens, Chris,
is it that time?
Go ahead. It is that time.
Okay. Well,
it is that time.
I want everybody to know that we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for watching this episode of Mt Paozu Arcade. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel to see all the new videos that we put up. This will be archived by tomorrow, midday. So keep an eye out for that in case you didn't catch the entire episode. I believe it was probably one of our more entertaining ones. I'll also check out our analysis video that me and Abe did last night. It's fairly insightful. We might have missed some things. If you think that you found some stuff that we didn't catch, please let us know, either in the comments, let us know on Twitter, or jump into Discord and let us know, live and in person. Well, close enough to the real thing. Shout outs to Bandai Namco, shout outs to Arxis, shout outs to FGC, shout outs to Evo, shout outs to Gibby, shout outs to my daughter Thea, who's currently calling me to go to bed. And yeah, shout outs to you. Most importantly, keep it sober. You know what I'm saying?